Hi everyone, this is Nibiru Watcher. It is December 15th, 2017, and I am on the Joanne Steen YouTube channel. And I want to thank you so much for all your collaboration on the Sun and Moon Simulator, which I now believe to be weaponized, and here is your proof. I'd just like to get right into this photo, so let's take a closer look. Let me zoom this in. Sorry. So this is a nighttime event. We can see the moon and plasma that appears to be coming from the moon. And this object here, you want to call it a water droplet on a, it's possible, but I believe it's a projection of the planetary object near the lens array, appearing to be stationary in orbit. I'm going to explain that later, why these dark objects. I already did that in my last video. If you want more detail, go back and watch. But the point of this video is to prove that the moon simulator, the sun simulator, and how many there are, who knows, but they are modular and they can build them bigger and bigger and bigger. When was this first created is a question I get asked, and I'm going to venture a guess somewhere they began this project in 1985. Due to the patent and the Strategic Defense Initiative that had started the building project of this amazing project, modular, building it one hexagonal piece at a time. So let's look at the photographic evidence of this sun simulator in its heliosynchronous orbit around the sun. In other words, it follows the path of the space station. So here we get side-by-side photos of the here in this picture here. We can see the International Space Station. Take a nice look at that. That's on the space station. We see it all the time. You can go on and look at it. Here we see during the California fires, somebody snapped a shot of the green laser coming from the moon. Right? Okay. And then we get nice unchemtrailed sunset. All looks exactly the same. And now we get this plasma arc reaction from the moon. Well. In light of that, let's look at the patent again and just kind of show you what we're viewing here. Roughly, the sun simulator this device here is the arc lamp. And according to the patent, it's an 1800 watt lamp. It emits the light. This focuses all this energy in one direction and bounces it back through a bunch of 4 group of lenses. So 4 lenses per arc lamp in this setup. And here we can see looking down on this array of lenses. Here are the arc lamps. See the little arcing here? There's all this outline. So each lens, there's 4 for each one of these. With that being put out of the way, we've seen this components. Let's look at the proof of some of the lens arrays that's out here. In this is the addictedsports.com. We can see the moon. This is supposed to be the moon, right? This is, I can leave a link for this. This is crazy, right? And we can see the reflection of the green lens array reflecting on the water. We can see our interesting object here, that they're hiding this object. Again, we still see this moon. And the next frame, we can go Y. We can see the planetary object and the moon simulator looking something exact right out of it. There's your shadowy round object right from the web camera. And then here, this is today over in Germany. We could see the sun simulator rising in the sky and then coming behind some chemtrail clouds. The moon simulator has an orbiting distance from the Earth at about 126 miles. Now here is today's photograph of the sun simulator in front of the actual sun. Now just look at this. All these little hexagonal objects, including this one, are the projected image from the lens array that we see in this object here, the sun simulator that was reflected on the clouds, and it's all over the internet now. That's exactly what we're seeing here in this object. Excuse me. Here. Okay. Now let's watch the setting sun. This is today. Look at the date. December 15th. Look how it projects the lenses in a whole array. This isn't just on the camera. This is happening on every single camera. Look at the lens, how it follows this thing. Straight. Doesn't that look like something straight off the International Space Station's been working on? I don't think it's attached. That's kind of a joke. The International Sun Simulator. Man, it seems like the International Space Station, though, does follow the path of the sun in its heliosynchronous orbit. And this green object here is, I believe, from the lens array, which I showed you in the early video, actually reflects on the water. So you can't call it a lens flare because a lens flare is in the lens. This, in this photo, showed you reflecting on the water. So how could something reflect on the water? See it here? And there it is, reflecting on the water. Behold. Okay. And let's go back to this drawing here. If I could find it. Okay, this is today. Let's watch the rising sun in Germany and all the illusions in the sky. So here, excuse me, this is the setting sun in Lake Starnberg in Germany. We could still make out this light system here. See these shadows? Just a classic pattern of your sun simulator. It looks like the Star of David. Yeah, I've heard that one. And look at, you can almost make out that same thing that MB33 had captured, depending on where this, what cloud chemtrails object that it refracts off of to give you that image. That's why it's not seen directly in front of it. Sometimes it is. Now let's watch this again. So here comes the setting sun. Let's go back in time and wind this thing back and watch how this hexagonal lens and all these little lenses, see this here? This is what MB3 had caught in his video. Watch this. This is going to blow you away. Let's go back in time before the sunset. Here we can see all these little hexagonal objects. Watches. The chemtrailers must have slept in that day. And those things are driven by AI, by the way, artificial intelligence. All the pilots have to do is get on the plane and lift off and take off. They have a detonation device in case there's any following out. Now watch what happens when this chemtrail, see this hexagonal object here? This projected image, because there's so many lenses on the system. Watch what happens when the chemtrail gal gets in front of it. Look at that. I got to zoom in on that one. See that? That's as clear as day. So here you have the sun simulator looking like the Star of David with all these shadowy objects with this huge, exposing this giant honeycomb lens system right in front of a chemtrail cloud. There you go. It has been weaponized. So thank you, Joanne Steen. Now let's go on to the electrolaser technology that I believe that we just witnessed over in Australia that we saw on the Joanne Steen channel. It is a directed energy weapon, such as the ones used in the California fires. Now, it uses to form an electrically conductive laser-induced plasma channel. That's a mouthful. What that really means is when they turn this laser on from the source to the target, like the surface of the Earth, it ionizes the gas, the oxygen, and the nitrogen around the laser beam itself, forming a channel which will set up a current. An ionized gas, like you see in a fluorescent tube, allows electricity to flow from top to bottom, or bottom to top. It goes from ground. I mean, if you ever want to follow the electron theory, it's a theory, by the way. However, it does form a channel. An ionized gas sets the gases into an electric conductive state, forming plasma. And we go a little further down to this laser-induced plasma channel. Emits a beam of laser into the air. The laser beam rapidly heats and ionizes the surrounding gases to form plasma. The plasma forms electrically conductive plasma channel. That's exactly what happened in that moon photo. Now, this is not a patent. This is used technology. Publicly traded Applies Energetics, formerly Ionitron, develops directed energy weapons for the military and has produced a device called the Joint IED Neutralizer. It is for, they could use it wherever they want. Look at this. This is where I think it began construction on this simulator's Death Star, whatever you want to call it. In 1985 was tested an Electrolaser and its targets on aircraft. Strategic, it was known as the Phoenix Project within the Strategic Defense Initiative. That was initiated in 1983, the same year that the IRS telescope, the infrared telescope, spotted the Nibiru system planets in 1983. Check that out. Not to mention the California fires, which all started in Napa Valley, Sonoma area, all had their fire start at the launch of the movie Geostorm. Very interesting. So, long range, high-powered lasers. Remember when I talked about this drawing that the moon and sun simulator powered by microwave beams? I want to touch on this topic, this component here. This array of, what do they call them, rectennas that convert microwave energy being transmitted from the solar collectors. Check this out. Now, Wayne Steiger, and this is just mirrored on Slightly Slanted for Truth channel, had captured the same object. He wants to point out what I want to talk about. These are not solar collectors. I believe these are the very rectennas that are capturing the microwave energy and projecting the laser beam into the backside, into these solar simulator. Look at that. The evidence is astounding. If you got more pictures of this object with plasma coming energy of any kind from the moon or the sun, the next time we hear reports of fire, get your cameras pointing in the direction of the sun or the moon where it should be. And wow, that's pretty scary stuff, right? So I hope I covered the topic of this fairly well, of the moon simulator. And for those of you, why the biggest purpose, I believe, they're not only able to weaponize this object, but it was to hide the incoming solar eclipses, so that when a planetary object passes in front of it, like I have this dish here, they could turn on the simulator and keep light shining in the sky like we see in this halo. And I wish I would have had a yellow bulb for that. Back this light on the ceiling would have been, if it had been 6 blades, that would have been even better with a yellow light bulb, because that would pretty much look like the sun simulator right there. The piece of paper display basically explains the chemtrails, how they can make the sun look larger than it actually is. High altitude clouds gives you a larger sun, smaller sun. Low altitude clouds gives you a bigger sun. And then when this thing is naked, like we see it, we're going to basically see, looks like the Star of David, which is basically because we have a spinning cube. So I have plenty of evidence in my last video. I just wanted to show you that this thing was weaponized. Just go back and watch my previous video. I also like to point out that the real sun does not have, its light rays are basically straight, which proves that the fake sun in the middle, during these dark halos, you could see that it changes in size. You see that? That's impossible for a real sun. Think about it. Notice the diameter of the outer light does not change. These are eclipses, either partial or full. And it does emit light. I did show you a demonstration on my last video how a 65-inch Fresnel lens can produce 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures, which could melt a 1/4-inch steel. So please, check one more quick thing, that the Washington Post had been posting this constellations, the IRS telescope. This was posted in 1983, and the IRS had captured a heavenly body near the constellation Orion. Multiple articles. The Orion constellation. Remember the 3 stars, the pyramids of Egypt, heavenly body? Zachariah Sitchin had it, said he was justified in the planet X. And now we're in the wintertime, approaching the solstice, when the time when the Earth is the closest to the Orion constellation where this whole object came from. Just something to think about. Well, hope you liked the evidence I presented before you, and the sun simulator, moon simulator has been weaponized. If you've got photos, pictures, please email me at jeffp427@yahoo.com. If you got stuff like this from the ground proof, look at this. This needs to get out there. Please, you need to copy and share this video. Mirror it. Do whatever you want. See you at the Lord's Supper. Have a blessed day.